just eat and drink.
Yeah, but I just don't like country music, but it's
Oh,
fine.
yeah, country music is pretty good.
I
Mallory, that's all she listens to, so I'm coming
Yeah.
back around. That's what I listened to in high school.
So I don't like it, but like she would love it because like I mean they have these built-in stages in every single bar. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. Every single bar has one. And then like they just a band's done with their set, the new one comes on. Like I mean it's just constant bands performing. It's kind of crazy.
Dang. And then you're in Chicago. That place was sweet.
Yeah, that was our office
That
where
was
I was. Yeah.
cool, cool. Hey everybody, we are just hanging here on a Sunday, getting ready to do the BOGP open line. So give us a call here in just a few seconds. We're gonna start the show. We're just catching up. Yeah, Chicago Chicago's just beautiful, like downtown.
I love
I don't like
Chicago.
Cubs, but dang, like you can't take a bad picture of downtown.
Chicago's like my favorite town. I
is
love it.
sweet.
It was where I was just there too quick, like because we left our Lansing office on Wednesday and drove, stayed the night, did our little thing on Thursday, and then we left right after that. Like I hardly got any time there.
I have season tickets to the University of Illinois Chicago basketball team.
I saw that.
Paige made me buy them. I'm like, dude, Paige, I'm never gonna be up there that much. She's like,
I should buy some tickets and I'll just go.
it was $99 for a family 4-pack. So I was like, I
Yeah.
can do that. Family 4-pack for $100. So she's like, if you go to one weekend, you're covered. I'm like, all right then. So
That's funny.
but I feel bad because I told her like I need to get like one of those cutouts like during COVID. It's like all the games that I'm not there, I want my little guy sitting in my seat, like a hat on or something, like a Flames hat.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
Because I'm not gonna be there 90% of the
I
game.
mean, no offense to Paige, I love what she's doing out there, but if I'm in Chicago, I'm gonna go somewhere else during that time. You know?
Oh, there's a lot. I mean, but this will be in the wintertime. This is like in December and
Yeah.
January. They got their first MVC Missouri Valley Conference win, the soccer team today because they just joined the Valley.
Nice,
dude. Missouri State almost beat Arkansas last night. Speaking of the Valley, that would have been.
Dude, I was pulling for Missouri State big time.
Dude, especially considering it was what's his face that got fired from Arkansas.
Oh,
Michael
Bobby Paterno, yeah.
I don't know if you ever. Okay, we're gonna start the show. I promise in just 2 seconds, people. I promise you. So you know, like how he got fired, right? With the motorcycle thing and the girl in the back, the volleyball player, right? That's how he got.
Yeah.
So Chris Childers, who was a guest on this show, he's like,
you talk about him, yeah.
He does a show called Full Ride with Coach Neuheisel, like in the mornings on ESPNU radio. And I had him on the show probably 3 years ago or something. He's a big Disney fan. And he kept talking about how they announced the Bears to come on the field in Arkansas. It's his first time back. He needed to be like, they need to play like Bad to the Bone, like, and he need to come out with the team like on a hard, like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I was cracking up.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
That's my kind of humor. I'm just saying. But so as they kept winning, I kept tagging him in tweets. Like it was.
I saw you were doing that yesterday. Oh my goodness, you cracked me up.
It was a good Saturday. Yeah, and I can't run, so I'm going straight.
That wasn't a good Saturday, man. Like,
except for that, yeah. I mean, we won. We beat a high school team. I mean, because it's going to be bloody for the next couple months for the Mizzou Tigers.
Yeah, Big Ten East is no joke. So we got Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, Minnesota kind of is legit.
Yep, MSO's good. Yeah, you guys.
And they're on the other side, but that's the thing. We play the toughest teams on the other side. Like I mean, Iowa. I don't know about
you score a touchdown, you win. Unless you give
Well, they actually scored a couple yesterday. Did you see that though? Like their game got delayed due to the weather. And did you see the photo where like security just gave up on it? So this guy was like walking his dog and just like walked his dog to went to like the first row of the stadium.
I didn't see that.
I'll have to send it to you. It's hilarious. The guy's just sitting there like watching the Iowa game with his dog.
The only thing I say is, it could be Nebraska. Sorry, wait.
I think he's traveling to Canada today.
Okay,
so
they fired their DC today. I think I saw it just a couple hours ago.
Yeah, it was bad.
We can just talk football all night. Let's talk Disney. Let me hit the button here, and we'll get going. We need some topics here. Yeah, George, UF. So I guess did George go to Florida? I know he's down in Texas. Maybe maybe he's a Gator. Maybe he's just a Gator fan. I don't know. Did you go to Florida, George?
I don't know. I don't know him well enough.
I don't know.
Did you freeze up, Mike? Oh, there you go. I thought you froze up.
Okay. Oh, he did go to Florida. He's a Gator. Gator. Chomp chomp. Oh yeah, I was following somebody that was a Maryland fan as well. Katie, they were complaining about. I think it was they played SMU. So they're complaining about the fans, about something about Pony Up. Everybody kept saying because that had to been the Mustangs. It was the producer of
Yeah.
Childer's show was complaining.
Watch out for the Big Ten East though, because the worst two teams are Maryland and Rutgers, and they're undefeated. I think Maryland's undefeated. I can't. I thought I read that somewhere. I don't follow
They
Maryland
are,
close
yeah, I
enough.
think they are because I think that's what she said. Yep, SMU. Okay, here we go. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the BOGP Open Line for Sunday night, September 18th, 2022. Hope you're having a great weekend. This is Mike Rallman, host of the Be Our Guest podcast and one of the great agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. And he is back from his boot scooting days down in Music City, down in Nashville, Tennessee, where he hit every bar on Broadway. No, I don't know what the name of the street was, but he looked like he was having a good time, even though he was there for a work trip. I need to have a job like that. It's your friend and mine. Hashtag ScottyG. What's up, Scott?
Hey, Mike, happy to be back. Definitely took some PTO last Sunday. I checked in a little bit when I was at Layla's, and you're right, it is Broadway.
Okay,
When
Broadway.
this show aired last Sunday, I was at this bar called Layla's listening to some country music, which is not my favorite, but my bosses knew every single song and they were singing to it. They were hooting and hollering. And honestly, like just watching them was enough entertainment for me. So had a good time. Sorry to miss the show last week, but happy to be here today.
You know, you gotta make the bread. You gotta pay the bills sometimes.
Exactly. Exactly. And then I made the trip to Chicago. My poor wife and daughter just spent the whole week without me. They had band practice and all this stuff going on, but they survived though, so they had a good week without me.
Sometimes sometimes
They
I
probably had more fun without me. Let's be
that's what I'm
real,
saying.
right?
That's what I was just about to say. Like when I go down to Run Disney, like weekends, I'm like, I kind of feel bad because I'm leaving home. They're probably like, I get home, like, man, we had a blast. Like, it's okay.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
when
They
you
went
go,
to Frankenmuth. I think you've heard of Frankenmuth,
oh
right? Like
yeah,
yeah. They went and had like the chicken dinner. They did like more school clothes shopping. Oh yeah, they had fun. Trust me.
very, very nice. Well, I was going to ask you real quick though. You had on the world's greatest, most epic cowboy hat while you were down there. It was a little shot of America, red, white, and blue cowboy hat. Did that thing come home? Because it'd have been perfect for the podcast cruise in July.
That did not come home. Who knows? I may make another visit there before the next podcast cruise, so you never know. I did come home with a Tennessee shirt though, a Nashville shirt, because I kept saying on Broadway to my boss, like, this is kind of crazy. You do all this bar hopping, you go like from bar to bar to bar to bar. There's bands playing, but you never pay a cover charge. I kept saying that all night. I don't know. After a few drinks, I was just like really fascinated with the fact that we didn't have to pay a cover charge. And as we're wrapping up the night, we went to this like Nashville store, and there was a shirt that said Nashville, no cover. So I had to get that shirt. So
You know what? That reminds me of. It reminds me of Pleasure Island back in the day over
oh
in
yeah,
Disney Spring. Well, not Disney Springs. Back in the day, it was downtown. Did you ever get? I think we've talked about this, but you never made it to Pleasure Island. Is that right?
nope. Our first trip was 2011, and either we didn't go or it was already gone by then. So never got to experience that. And everything I hear from podcasts and blogs and reading all this stuff, like it sounded like it was a blast, and I would have loved it. But oh well.
I am so not a bar person, but Pleasure Island was great though because you could go over there and not be a bar person and go into 8 tracks and they played 80s music. They had a comedy club, which was like it was a Disney clean comedy club. And you had Adventurers Club, and then you would go out in the streets at night, and it was like New Year's Eve every night, and they would do the countdown and shoot off the fireworks. Uh, I wish they still had that. I mean, Disney Springs is pretty cool right now, but I mean, I would.
Could you imagine if Epcot did their like old New Year's Eve like every single night at Epcot? Could you just imagine?
When George mentions too, you did have to pay a cover. I do, yeah, you did, but a lot of times that was in your Ultimate Park Hopper ticket. Which God, the Ultimate Park Hopper ticket, it's almost like a fever dream at this point. That you paid for your vacation. You said, we want to go down to Walt Disney World for a week. And now remember this, I don't know, because you probably caught this at the very tail end of when you started going. A lot of times, if you travel during certain times of the year, there were deals back then that was buy 4, get 3 free. So basically you were getting 3 free days on your tickets and your hotel. Sometimes maybe it's just your tickets. I can't remember. I can't imagine it was your hotel
Yeah.
too. But because I was just like a fan.
I don't think it was. I think it was just with your park tickets when I started going, at least.
Yeah, and you gotta remember too, like you're between your 4th and your 7th day of tickets is not that big of an expense,
Right.
but mentally it makes you feel like you're getting a huge value. You're going from 4 to 7 days. But what I liked about the Ultimate Park Hopper ticket was I felt really free to explore the entire resort. Like we always went to a water park 2, 3 times a trip. We went to Disney Quest just because we never had to think about, okay, how many options am I using up? Or do I have to add on this option or that option? Did you ever use those kind of tickets? Those ultimate park hopper?
Yeah. So I think like the Fantasia Gardens or like the mini golf was included in that. So we would use that sometimes. I This is another thing. Like I'm bummed out that I missed on. Speaking of like downtown Disney, I never went to Disney Quest. That was the thing
Really?
that I know, and I feel
Oh,
like
that
that
was cool.
I would have loved that because like the way I hear it is just like a big arcade, right? With like some other like virtual, like there's like a virtual like Space Mountain or Jungle Cruise or something.
Cyberspace Mountain. I never did that because that thing looked bad to the bone. That thing looked like it was good. That was like Star Tours, but like on steroids. I was like, I knew better because and then, God, this was so long ago. Computers were not that advanced at that point. Like you would go on like a terminal and you would basically just kind of drop like little chunks of track into like a linear sequence, and then it would process that. And you would give like a USB stick or something to the cast member, they'd plug it into the machine, you would get into the cockpit and that thing would just and some kids would like just make it just loop 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 loop. I'm
Right, right.
like, no, because my ride would have been like, okay, let's just go like 35 miles an hour and bank turn here and there. That's
That sounds like some of All Thrills a little bit. Remember they used to have that
yeah,
at
yeah, 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 totally.
I never did that either. Len
So,
Testa always said that was like the greatest attraction. Like I think I remember Len saying that. Like Somewhere All Thrills was awesome.
yeah, I never did. So, but it was on that Kuka arm thing over at
Yeah.
Interventions. Yeah, but so with Disney Quest, and we could talk about this. You guys have memories of Disney Quest. It's a good topic for tonight. That they did have. So the thing I really liked the most about it, they had bumper cars. I think it was on the top floor, and you shot like it was like kind of like a dodgeball game. So you had these bumper cars, you went around, and you would drive over these little rubber like dodgeballs, and then you would shoot them at the other cars. And if you hit the target on the other car, it would cause the car to spin like uncontrollably for an amount
That's
of time.
incredible.
That was a ton of fun. It was like Buzz. It was related to Buzz Lightyear, some kind of Buzz Lightyear name. And then I think they had like a cheesecake factory in there too, because I had dinner.
See,
I remember
that's
like I was
awesome.
like, "Could we go have dinner at the Cheesecake Factory in Disney Quest?" I was like, "Dude," and it wasn't that great, but it was kind of fun.
So I know this is always a topic. Like, what is that thing that you can get that non-Disney person to come to Walt Disney World, right? So like some people are like, hey, like my husband doesn't like Disney or my wife doesn't like Disney, but they like golf, so they can play golf or whatever. I always try to think of that for my brother because like I think he would love to see Walt Disney World, like his niece having fun, like Emily having all this fun, like Emily could show him around. And I always think like, what's that thing that he would really like? Disney Quest would have been it for my brother. I feel like I could have sold him on that bumper car game you were just talking about and all the fun stuff at Disney Quest. I just need to come back, Mike, so I can convince my brother to come down.
It was really cool. And the thing is, so during that period of time, see, I think it would do even better right now. Again, but I don't know. This is my perspective. Like since I found Twitter and social media and stuff, I follow a lot of retro arcading kind of sites and like Twitter accounts and so forth. So I'm always looking at pictures of like Aladdin's castles from the 80s in malls that people found, scanned pictures in, and people that collect old Atari 2600 games and so forth, arcade machines that they're restoring. But I think that era is kind of coming back around, and that's one of the things I enjoyed about Disney Quest was that they had some of the latest and greatest things like that Cyberspace Mountain. They had the bumper car game, but they also had like Donkey Kong and Frogger and Pac-Man and Ms. Pac-Man. They had like a floor of all retro original video games. And I think right now that'd be even more popular than it ever was.
Right.
And it's
I
always
agree.
right now that's kind of that space is just dying right now. I mean, they just they for a while because it's that space next to CityWorks at this point. And they were using it for I think Meta actually owns it, Facebook at this point. They were doing a test there with some Star Wars stuff last time I was down there. Did you see that?
I did not see that.
Yeah.
Because this is the space where the NBA experience was
Yep.
right? Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
And because so it was kind of funny because I was down there. And what was I down? Oh, it was for that media thing in May for Cosmic Rewind, and I was meeting Pam and Steve Forrester for dinner at Cosmic at CityWorks, and right next door they asked us like, "Are you here to check in?" We're like, "Yeah," because we had a reservation for CityWorks, and they started walking us into the building that was used to be the NBA experience, and it had a big sign that said Meta, owned by Facebook, and Star Wars virtual reality experience. We're like, I'm like, man, we're doing something cool. She's like, no, we're going to dinner. I'm like, I think we're going to the wrong place.
We're gonna have food in space.
Yeah, we're like, no, we have reservations for CityWorks. Oh no, you got to talk to that lady. We're like, okay, my bad.
I would have kept going. I would have kept going with it.
Should have, but I was starving because I just like flown in and landed and caught an Uber over. I'm like, dude, I need to eat. I need to eat so bad. But yeah, we were going in. I think that's gone now though. But they were doing some kind of like test. And shoot, I know the whole thing during dinner. I thought the same thing. I was like, we should have just gone in. Like,
I know. You should have.
Yeah, Disney Quest was something. So if you want to call in and talk about Disney Quest or anything that's going on, let's hit some news real quick. How about this one? Kite Tails, ScottyG. It is not long for this world. Kite Tails is ending this month.
It makes me very sad. That was an entertaining show, Mike. Like, you would go grab an ice cream from across the street or your Coke Zero or a beverage of your choice. You go in there, you watch jet skis, flying kites around with cool music, the crash landings. Like I loved it. I really did. It was like a nice little chill break in the day to just have some fun and watch the kites. It bums me out that that's going away.
I do. I wish that, this is one of those things I will have said, I never got to see this. I never got to experience it. And it's one of those things, I think, good, bad, or indifferent, as a Disney fan, you want to have that experience just so you can say, oh, yeah. When the conversation comes up on a podcast, 15 years. Yeah, I was there when Simba crashed, 2 seats over for me.
I do have a TikTok of it. I made like 2 or 3 TikToks in my entire life. And that is one of them, is the crash landing. But you've had that experience in that same theater, though. You got to see like the Jungle Book show that was like 2 months. I know we saw that together, actually.
Yeah, that was the worst show I've ever seen. I am not. I mean, I'm not too bad on shows, but that was the worst. That was the Jungle Book.
That was bad.
Before Rivers of Light, and Rivers of Light was okay, but the Jungle Book was horrible. And the worst part was when they made those poor ushers dance. Like, that'd be like making me dance. If I want to dance, cool, but don't make me dance when I have no moves. And everybody, those ushers had to dance. I felt.
But I tell you, people at Kite Tails, just like, you'd always see a smile on their face. Like, people just love seeing those crash landings, and it's a bummer to see it go away.
Yeah, it kind of crashed. And also over at Crystal Palace, we're getting the Winnie and the Pooh characters coming back in October. So Crystal Palace is going to be kind of back to normal.
Yeah,
here shortly.
And I love that. I love that. I think I've told this old ScottyG secret. You get that last breakfast ADR time, like the 10:40, 10:30 time. You fill up on breakfast. You get an omelet. You get your eggs, bacon, and all that. Take your time a little bit. And then they flip it over to lunch. And then I just turn it into brunch. That is my favorite meal at the Magic Kingdom, is that what I call the ScottyG brunch at Crystal Palace. So happy to see the characters come back.
Yeah, it's one of Ricky's tricks too. She likes to kind of linger there and get.
Well, what I like though is because they have the self-service soft serve machine. So some people like to put like whipped cream and like strawberries on their waffles, on their Mickey waffles. I grab a Mickey waffle and I put vanilla ice cream on it with sprinkles. That is an item right there. That is so good. And Crystal Palace is like the only place, maybe Hollywood and Vine, you might be able to do it too, but those 2 places are so good to do that.
It's almost like maybe where the idea for the dessert over at Epcot in Connections Cafe came about, the strawberry waffle kind of thing. Oh, that thing is so good. I've been craving one of those for the last week. I saw a picture on social media and I'm like, I need one of those again.
Disney management might have been watching my Twitter handle when I posted the last couple of those and said, "Ooh, that's a great idea."
I'm sure they did. And let's see here. Oh, the last thing, because again, this was kind of announced during D23, but it involved you and I. We kept having this debate with when Tron was going to open. And they did give an approximate opening date for Tron during D23, which I figured if they're going to make an announcement on the date it opens during D23, when everybody's getting juiced up, the Disney fans are there. We're all excited. Everybody's tweeting. It's like a fervor for the news and the information. I thought if they're going to make an announcement, man, they're going to make an announcement like in the positive side. Like, it's going to be sooner. Dude, spring. I'm like, dude, if you're going to announce it, if you're going to open it in the spring, don't say anything at this point. Just let us ride.
That kills me a little, Mike. Yeah, I wasn't here last week to give my initial reaction on the news, but that was one of the disappointments that I had was the the Tron release date. Come on, it's running. We've seen those cars going. Like, it's been 4 years. Like, just give us like the Christmas season, the holiday season, you know?
Well,
But no,
haven't they said like Josh D'Amaro or whoever's been on the ride, like
yeah,
testing, like, dude, if it's that far away, I don't know if I'd want to be testing it. Like, I mean,
yeah.
if it's like 6 months from opening, maybe you shouldn't be on that thing
But
yet.
maybe I was talking to Beth about this, but maybe the track is ready, right? And then it's just like the landscaping and everything around it, right? Because you know Disney does a great job of their attention
Sure.
to detail with all those other things. So maybe the track is good, and just not all the effects and other things are good. That's the only thing that we can come up with, right?
They're gonna
To wait 6 more months,
they're gonna let actually the foliage grow in before
right?
they open the thing.
Yeah, it's like what Tron came out in what, like 82 or like, I can't remember the exact year, but it's going to be like foliage from 1982 is how it's going to feel because that's how long we've been waiting for this.
Yeah,
to open.
right. They're gonna wait for like that whole era of processors and stuff to come back around. All right, we have our first call tonight. I never even gave the phone number, but let's do this. We have our first call from the 352 area code. Hey, who's joining us?
Hi, this is Charlie.
Hey, Charlie, what's going on? Thanks for calling in. Where are you from?
Yeah, well, originally I'm from the Midwest like you, from Illinois, but I'm currently living in Newberry, Florida.
Nice. You're one of the smart ones. You got out of here for the cold winters.
Oh my golly. I grew up with the snow and the ice, and my husband and I, we decided, okay, we've had enough. And we moved down to where we love to vacation. So we made it. We made the move and love it.
Before I ask you why you called, I'm going to be a little, because I always ask this of anybody who has made the move from especially the Midwest, like Scott and I are from, to Florida, because everybody asks me, right? Because I work and travel, so forth. When you going to move to Florida, Mike? I'm not, because my wife likes living next to her, family. Her whole family's from here, which I totally understand.
Sure.
That's awesome. So we would not do that, but does it take away any of the magic? Because I enjoy like the flight now that I like flying and the whole planning stuff. Is it just different, or what would you say now being semi-local to your favorite place?
Dolly, that's such a great question. So for me, it enhanced it because we would come down right after Christmas, and we would also come down during spring break and bring our kids. We have 2 kids, boy and girl, who are now grown and in their upper 20s. But my husband and I will go down there about every other weekend and just go and play. I'll even do solo trips and just podcasts like yours and others I listen to. I think the more that, I don't know, for me, I think the more that I learn about it, the more attractive it is, and just in depth and stuff. And one of the coolest things that I learned here just recently is, like when you go to Animal Kingdom, there's that little shrine thing before you round the corner to go to Everest, how it is shaped like the mountains, and I never knew that. And so just, cool things that I learned on your podcast and others just really, heightened the experience, I think.
Well, that probably wasn't us, but thank you for that, because we usually don't say smart things. We try to just entertain you, but no, that's great. No, that's awesome. That's a great perspective that you get over there. You get to see things in a different way. I think, that's kind of how I've changed from, when I was wide-eyed, when I didn't have a podcast, we just went down to Pop Century, had no idea what we were doing, just went to whatever park the bus showed up first, those days. It's a total different experience. But you do know, though, over at Everest, if you ring those bells in the queue in the right order, they play It's a Small World too. That's another thing.
No, I didn't know that.
Yes, but you got to know the secret order, and it's just annoying as anything if you don't get it in the right order. Everybody around you will be like, "Quit ringing the bells, please." Anyway, say hey. It's
another since we're talking about like a little fun Animal Kingdom tidbit. So one of my favorite things is when you leave the dinosaur and you go to that gift shop and you walk into Dino Land. If you look to your left, it kind of feels like you're at like a bus station kind of. If you look to your left, there's a sign about traveling to Epcot. I can't think of the exact words right now, but it even has the Epcot logo. You should take a visit to Epcot, which is always fun to see when you're in Animal Kingdom.
I didn't even know that.
No,
I love this stuff.
That's new to me too.
Awesome. Well, hey, why'd you call? We're just playing Trivial Pursuit here, but what's going on?
Well, So the reason I called is I have been dying to call you guys for the longest time. I just wanted to share with somebody about Disney magic that had been bestowed upon my mother and I, my 90-year-old mother and I, when we took a trip to the Magic Kingdom in Epcot. And now this is a little while ago. This was right before COVID, right before the pandemic closure. But still, I just think it just really, for me, okay, so let me back up for a second. You know, recently on a podcast, you had mentioned about how Disney for you, Mike, is not so much about the rides anymore. It is just the experience. You could go and probably not ride a ride and be fine, and it's just kind of about the experience. I think this time with my mom at the parks turned that around for me. I saw Disney through her eyes in a much different way, and it was just it just changed my view of things and how I look at things differently. It's not about the rides, it's not about the thrills. It's like what you said, you know, the other day about how it's just the experiences. But so we went. My mother and father had only been to Disney once in their life, and that was during a conference. They had tickets for it to Epcot, but as it turned out, they only had time to just walk in, walk around World Showcase, and walk back out. It was a super, super short trip. And my father passed away several years ago, but my mom always talked very fondly about that time, that her and Daddy's quick trip there. And so for her birthday, I think this was back in 2019, I bought her tickets for Epcot and Magic Kingdom. And we had a phenomenal time. We stayed off site. We stayed in an economy basic hotel off site. But and just a little tangent side from that. Since that time, my husband and I we purchased a little fixer-upper house down in Claremont and fixed it up, and it's all Disney-fied. I have.
Nice.
Yes, I can tell you about that another time. But my bedrooms are themed to Lion King, Country Bear Jamboree, and Haunted Mansion.
It's like a little mini art of animation.
I got the bug.
That's so cute. I love it.
But yeah, but I want to tell you. So the first day. So on this trip, we went, like I said, we went to Magic Kingdom and we went to Epcot. When we went to Magic Kingdom, like I said before, I was all about the rides. So I had and at that time they had the fast passes. So I had my 3 fast passes. The first one is for the Haunted Mansion. And so my mother's in a wheelchair. And so, we go all the way back to where the Haunted Mansion is, and they're closed. Oh. And so the nice cast member said, well, go to guest services and they'll probably be able to give you a ticket, or I don't know exactly what it was at that time, something so that you can come back at another time. So we did that. It was a very hot day, I recall. And so I took my mother into guest services that, is at the front of the park. And I parked her kind of in a corner. So she's nice. She's in the air conditioning. I go back out and wait out in this super long line. I would say it probably took an hour. What was that?
I said, been there. Yeah, the line's never short when you got to go to guest services. Like when you don't need anything, you can walk right up. But yeah, that's how it always goes.
Yeah, right. Well, my mom was super patient, got into a lot of conversations with cast members and stuff. And when I got up to the line talking with a cast member, she was very, very sweet. And after they gave us some sort of a pass thing to get on a different ride, she said to me, here, I want you to have this. I don't remember if it was a coupon or it was actually written out or what it was, but she said, take this to the store across the street and it'd be something special for your mom. And I thought, oh, that's really nice. And then she also said to me, hey, and by the way, right out here in the little garden area there, next to guest services, Snow White is going to be appearing in 30 minutes if you're interested in a meet and greet. So, I'm all about the ride. Yeah. So I just kind of took that information, said, hey, thanks. That's great. We started walking to our next ride. And I mentioned to my mom about Snow White. and the meet and greet. And she says, "Oh my golly, I really, really want to do that." So we go in, and actually, she wants to stop and buy a doll so that Snow White can sign it.
Oh, nice.
And we're the first one in line. She gets up to Snow White, and this lady is phenomenal. She is Snow White that has stepped out of the movie. Just incredible. My mom says to her, "I have waited my whole life to meet you."
Oh, that is sweet.
Yes, so sweet. They talk about how are the dwarfs doing, and they swap apple pie recipes, and just had a lot of fun. I got some great photos from that. But here's the thing. So the little coupon thing that the cast member had given me, we went across the street to that shop, and it turns out to be they gave her a free tiara.
Oh my gosh. That is so
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah. So she wore that thing the whole day, and she felt super special. We went on several rides, and at the parade, we were in the wheelchair area, got perfect photos. She even stayed for the fireworks. We had Dole Whips and all that thing. But the tiara was magical. So the next day we went to Epcot, and she's wearing that tiara. We're in the land pavilion, so we're waiting at the elevators, and she starts chatting with a really super nice lady, and I think she's just a cast member. She is wearing this restaurant uniform, and the lady turns out to be the executive chef for what is that called? Coral Reef?
Yeah. Coral Reef.
Yeah. Her name is Dee, and my mom talks to her about how Dee every day will call her mom in New York, and she loves talking with my mom.
Oh, that's sweet.
And the Dee says, "What are you guys doing for lunch?" And I said, I don't know. And but we were talking about it. And she says, "Well, I tell you what, you go to Coral Reef and be there at 1 p.m. So we go in there, and we get the best seat in the house. It's right in front of the aquarium. Had a fabulous meal. What do they call it? Sous chefs?
Yeah, I'm not. Scott would know. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, sous chef.
Sous chef. And he comes out, and he says that Dee said that we were coming, and he brings a fabulous dessert for us.
Oh.
And it was incredible. It was just so nice. And then we went to Starbucks, and they wrote Queen Pat. Her name was Pat. They wrote Queen Pat on her cup, and she still has the cup. So it was so magical. And at the end, I won't take up too much of your time, but at the end of the trip, my mom, who was just this sweet lady, wants to go and recognize all these people who made her time fabulous. And at that time they didn't, well, I don't know that they did, but she went and filled out actual little cards on all the cast members she had interactions with, and just had, we were in guest services at the end of Epcot night for an hour, her filling out these little guest cards, because it was just so incredible for her.
Oh my gosh. So I have to tell you, Deanna in the live chat just put Queen Pet is goals, which means that is a huge compliment to your mother. And I want to have this. Well, first of all, I want to thank you, because this is the stuff that we need to get out into the world, and I want to, this actually brings up something I was going to ask Scott about later. And I'm not going to hold you on the line for this whole conversation, but this is, it really does kind of make my heart just like grow, because this is the stuff this is why we go. And this is why you don't have to ride 15 rides in a day to say it was the best day ever. You know what? That little the tiara that your mom got to wear around and become a princess for the day, and enjoy that meal with the chef from Coral Reef. Because it was just like, what we used to hear more, we don't hear as much, is that when you're at Walt Disney World, you're not a client, you're not a customer, you're a guest. And what it sounded like was this executive chef was inviting you and your mother over for lunch, just like they'd be a guest in in her house or in her restaurant. And you got a very special experience, and it's just, the whole thing is, though, getting to do that with your mom, making that memory that will never ever go away. Now that you shared it with us, like, I'll never forget this story. When I think of Coral Reef, I'll think of you and Pat every time now.
Oh, that's so sweet. And my mom showed me something that I've heard from other people on podcasts before. So I do take the time to talk to cast members. But before, I would just go in and do my thing and kind of, not interact with too many people. But now, if I see a cast member, I want to get in a conversation with them. I want to learn about, well, where are they from? And just, we just had some great interactions from that now. It's just, I never grew up going to Disney. We had 6 kids in our family. We grew up in Illinois. And just, when you got 6 mouths to feed, you just don't take big old trips like Disney. And so I didn't start going until, my husband and I had kids. And it's just really grown on me. And it truly is just a magical place, I think.
It is. It allows the magic to happen. When you get to escape the real world and just really focus on the people you're with. That's what I think I've noticed over the years, that, when I get down, like, Scott's probably my best friend, outside of like my family. And we only get to see each other really when we're at Walt Disney World, because we live, 8-9 hour drive apart, and we don't have to ride rides. We get down there, we have a good time. We have meals together. We hang out at the resorts. We don't have to be riding rides or doing, seeing shows. It's about the people you're with. So, Scott, final words, and then this is a great call, though. I love that.
I love the call. Thank you for the story, Charlie. I was just gonna make a little joke that, how would this look in today's world, though? Like, would that show up on like your Genie Plus day, like VIP experience at Coral Reef at 1:00? Exactly. But that's an awesome story. I love it.
True.
Oh, thanks, guys. I love listening to y'all. Thanks.
Hey, Midwesterners, we got to stick together, because even though you're in Florida, you're still a Midwesterner. We're still claiming you.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Well.
All right, Charlie. Hey, you have a great week, and don't be a stranger. Give us another call sometime.
Okay, I appreciate it.
All right, take care. Good talking to you.
I mean, when you think about that, how many true Floridians are there, though? Like,
that's true. There's none. I don't think anybody's ever born in Florida, to be honest. Yeah. I don't know. All right, I got to ask you about an article I saw today on social media, but we have another call, so let's take it. That's why we're here. Hey, caller, who's joining us?
Hey, Mike and ScottyG, it's Brandon up in New Hampshire. How are you?
Brandon, what's going on? Good talking to you again.
Brandon's like a regular these days. Awesome to hear from you.
Like, he's got the hotline. I'll have to put him in the caller ID so I know he's calling.
The funny thing is she just mentioned the Coral Reef restaurant story. The first year that my wife and I went to Disney was in 2019, and I had requested 6 months in advance. Of course, that's when you had to book dining back then. The tank seat. The seat right next to the tank, and we were doing candlelight processional. So we got that little 2-top seat. We got that. We sat in there. Everybody was staring at us. The people around us were so pissy and jealous about the fact that we got that spot. But I had requested it 6 months in advance. So we're sitting there, and we have this giant manta ray sitting next to us at that tank the entire time. We have pictures of this that we still both laugh about. The thing wanted our dinner, but it was the fact that it was such an amazing spot to sit right literally on the tank.
So everybody has to know what was on the plate that it wanted so badly, so you can get that manta ray to come.
Well, it was candlelight processional, so it was a prefix. So it was literally steak and no seafood.
I could say, yeah, because it'd be a cannibal if it was seafood. So yeah, that'd be weird.
Absolutely. But no, it was a fantastic thing that, like I had said, the first time that Pam and I went down together, and she hasn't been there since she was a child, and I hadn't been there since I had gone for the Magic Music Days. But yeah, they requested, if you wanted that request, put in as far ahead of time as possible, 6 months out, and we got that little spot. So when we walked down there and sat there, everybody around us was staring at us.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so you can either do that, or here's my new tip. We're always giving tips here on the show, and I have a new one now because of Charlie. Just say you're a friend of Queen Pat's, and boom, you get that table. I mean, 2 days out, be like, hey, I know Queen Pat. I'm one of her subjects. and then you're in.
Well, I could do that, Mike, but the problem would be if I said my wife was 90, that's a problem.
No, I'm not saying you guys say you're married to her. I'm just saying you're a friend. You're a subject of quick bet. No, okay. So hang tight, Brandon, because I want to have this conversation with Scott, and I want to get your thought on this too. So I don't know if you've seen over the last day, there was an article. Now I've seen it only basically it's in mainstream media. So I've seen it like on WGN News, which is a big media company out of Chicago that I follow. I saw it. It was mainstream. It was not Disney fan sites, but it was quoting some kind of a survey or some kind of research where I guess and I didn't read the whole article because I was again in a hurry. But the thing was, it said that the headline and the splash was that 68% of Disney visitors feel that the theme parks have lost the magic, and so I wanted to get like your take, Brandon. I'll take your take, but I want to get Scott's take on this first. Like, I understand where people are coming from because I feel that sometimes too. Like, it's a job a lot of times before you go down. It feels like it's more of a job than it used to be just vacation. Just book the trip and let's go have fun. Now you got to put a lot of thought into it, a lot of thinking, a lot of work before you go down. So I get where these people are coming from, but then you get stories like Pat, and even though that happened in 2019. That story could just as well happen yesterday. None of those things could not have happened yesterday. They couldn't have. So Scott, I don't know if you saw that article, but I mean, how do you react to that?
Yeah, I did not see the article, but I agree with it. But my question would be like, who are they surveying? Is it most likely repeat visitors? If it's lost the magic, you would have had to experience the magic first, is the way I read it. And like that's how I feel as a repeat visitor. Like I think of like how it was 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. And it's gone downhill. So I would agree. Like, I feel like it has lost the magic. Is it still magical? Yes. Like, I still love going there. Like, you just kind of hit on it. Like, I love the dining experiences, hanging out at the resorts. It's my getaway from the Midwest weather and, from November through April, just to get that escape. It's still a great escape for me, but I would say overall it has lost some magic. Like it's more work than vacation to most of my planning and days. Like it feels like more work than relaxation if you really want to like do everything, which I don't have to do everything as a repeat guest.
That's what I would say. You put in a keyword there, and I would say has lost some magic. I would say that because it hasn't lost all of it.
Right, it hasn't lost all of it.
We have great times down there, but I mean, and again, I pine for the old days in a lot of ways. I like the old video games. I always pine for days before like social media, even though I'm on it. I'm the worst person. Like, but I would love to not have that phone, and just be like more in the moment. But here I am. I'm just as guilty as anybody with being on the thing. And I pine for the days of 10 years ago at Walt Disney World. And I think it's lost some of the magic, but it's still. Brandon, where do you fall in this conversation? What do you think about this?
Well, in my opinion, it really relies on the cast member that you're dealing with. Like I told you last time I talked, I think it was a few weeks ago when we went down last December and we had the candlelight processional situation with the beer garden. And I went in there and I told the guy I was willing to pay for the entire experience. And my wife wasn't feeling that great for eating bratwurst and schnitzel and all that. The guy literally handed us the candlelight processional things and said, "Merry Christmas." Although we weren't going to have the meal, we weren't charged a dime. So that was literally this past December. So I think it's situational, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. And Tish in the live chat right now brings up a great point. She says, I think the magic is there, but it's definitely at a premium. You're paying so much more to have these magical moments, where I tend to agree with that, because if you think about it, I mean, think about just like go back 10 years, go back 1 decade. And if you were staying at All-Star Sports, it didn't matter if you were staying at the Grand Floridian or All-Star Sports, you still got extra magic hours. It was like an even playing field. There was never a thought of, like deluxe guest extra magic hours. But see, then I see the other side of it. Like deluxe guests are paying, the equivalent of like 3 hotel rooms per night compared to what you're paying at All-Star Sports. So you do expect more amenities, but it felt like a more fair playing field, kind of in a way back then. I don't know, I see the pros and cons of everything, and I can see it from both. I try to always see things from both sides, but it felt like, with Fast Pass, everybody got it, like it didn't matter. You didn't have to buy it. Like, you didn't have to use it, but you had it there. Everybody had the exact same opportunity. I don't, do you agree with what, Tish says, Scott? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the magic is there, but definitely at a premium. And I can see that, like, to your point, like the real premium is paying for all these extra experiences. You don't have to you don't have to buy these lightning lanes or anything like that, but that is an option to help you save time. And that's, to me, like, that's not necessarily like magic, like saving time and attractions. I think magic is more like the story like Brandon told, like that. I mean, that's a really cool story with that cast member. I think about that time, Mike. Remember when after a cruise, I had a flight delay and like Mallory got sick the next morning, but you guys were in St. Louis. We were still trapped and trapped, like how I say that.
Trapped at Coronado Springs.
We were trapped at Coronado Springs due to some food poisoning, and like, man, they took good care of Emily. Like they gave her like a nice little like they came to the room and gave her like this package of like all these like snacks and like activities to do, and like they didn't have to do that. They gave us this like little welfare piece of paper where we can go and like get stuff from the shop, because they knew we were going to be like stuck in the room all day. Like that stuff like feels more magical that I know that they can do, right? Like they have the means to do that. And that's how you like really get that awesome, guest experience that Disney is known for. And I just feel like there is a little bit less of that, like, or I'm just not hearing it as much. But I think, honestly, Mike, I think the guest is a little more hostile than they used to be. I think there's more I think there's higher expectation now because we are paying more, and like that's across the board though, across the whole country. I mean, you're just going to pay more for experiences right now. It's just how the world is. But I think there's just a higher expectation from a guest. And I think that those kind of guests actually, it's I hate to say this, but like other guests sometimes make things a little less magical for me when I hear them like complaining in the parks and about all that nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. The thing is, and I joked about this, probably 10 years ago on the show, that I'm a competitive person. Like I've played sports my whole life. Like, and you've seen this. I mean, this is why my knee is just tore up right now. Like I push myself to try to be the best at whatever I do. I've always been competitive in high school sports and speed skating and whatever I do. I'm a competitive person. And the thing is, I joke about Walt Disney World being a competitive thing, and it is 100% a competitive experience. You're always competing. You're competing for ADRs. You're competing for shorter lines at the attractions. You're competing to be the first one through the turnstiles for the perfect picture on Main Street. You're constantly competing. And what's happening is, like you said, more people are getting savvy to all these tricks that I think we had the advantage on, the jump on 10 years ago because of social media. Everybody's putting this stuff on TikTok and everywhere else, where now everybody is just kind of, and I think there's just less of a sense of like care for your fellow guest at this point, which is kind of sad. It's a state of humanity. But I'm not going to step on somebody's toes. I'm not doing that on a Walt Disney. If it gets me 5 minutes faster on a ride, that's stupid. But some people will, and
there's like that. I know Brandon's on the line. I'm sure he has something you want to talk about, but like we lost that. Like, sorry, I feel like we lost that like guest like common courtesy. Like I'm always so courteous to guests. Like if I see another guest wearing like a birthday button or a celebration, like it's not just the cast members that can interact with them. I interact with them too, and like I just feel like there's just this like crabbiness. Like I got these high expectations, and like that like kind of brings my experience down too. But
yeah, it's a good conversation. Go ahead, Brandon. Though we didn't mean to hijack you there, but anything else?
Yeah, no worries, guys. Yeah, I just wanted to tell you that when we went back in 2019, we went to the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas party. It poured that night, and my wife turned around and saw that a lady that was in one of those little buggies, ECVs, had got her poncho caught under the wheel, and she was stuck literally right in front of Cinderella Castle. So we stopped. We turned around. We got the thing unstuck for her. She was very generous and very happy that we helped her get out of that situation. But that's one of those things where we could have changed the experience for her or us by just continuing on what we were doing. But my wife says, let's give this lady a hand. That's one of those things that I cannot put aside and she can't put aside. We're humanitarian people. There's one thing that you can do for your own experience, or you can help somebody else that's in need. And that's one of those things that I hope everybody would do.
Right.
Yeah. And the bottom line is, like, if you're at Walt Disney World, how lucky are you just to be there? Right. I mean, you could be in some terrible place on this planet doing some horrible job, that's where you don't have the opportunity. I mean, when we complain about, the wait time for, It's a Small World is 35 minutes. I can't believe it. It's terrible. I can't do this. I mean, you're at Walt Disney World, you're probably going to have dinner tonight at Le Cellier, and you're worried about a 35-minute wait to ride a boat ride. Like you're probably with your family, which you're lucky to have that time off to bond with your family, your friends. In 15 minutes, you might be having a Mickey bar. I mean, I think it's all about perspective, but that's a great, when you can help somebody out, it makes you feel good, but you're also, how many people saw you do that? You modeled the correct behavior. Maybe not for your family might just see that all the time in you, but some little boy who might not see that kind of behavior, some little girl that may have never seen somebody bail out a stranger saw that. You never know. That's a good thing.
It was just one of those weird situations where I wouldn't have noticed it. I wasn't looking back. She was, and she's a nurse. So she saw this lady on the ETV, the thing that popped up in the front wheel. She couldn't move. She said, let's help the lady out. We did. It's pouring rain. It was a terrible Christmas party. But again, there are good people out there, regardless of Disney people or just people in life.
No, I 100% agree. 100% agree. When you get that opportunity to step up, you always should. Well, hey, Brandon, thanks for the call. Hey, don't be a stranger. Now, maybe we'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely.
All right. Take care, my friend.
Have a good night.
Good talking to you. So I was going to ask you real quick before we get our next call. We can probably take one or two more calls. 407-413-9395. You mentioned you missed the announcements for D23, getting to talk about them. What was the biggest announcement you were excited for? Was it the West Coast races? One Disney?
I mean, I'm not mad about that. I wonder what that's going to do to races in Florida. Like, will they cut the springtime surprise that doesn't seem to be going anywhere?
Hang on. We got a listener calling in. Hang on.
Okay.
I'll get you though. What's up, Neil? Thanks for calling in. What's going on, buddy?
Oh, hey, how you guys doing?
I heard you may be calling in tonight, so there you are. We got you.
Yeah, I thought I would just reach out and give a quick little trip report from D23 last week.
You had some pretty awesome costumes, I'll say.
Thank you so much.
Especially the dapper one. That one was something.
The dapper Mandalorian, I think it was, right?
Yeah.
Well, the Newsies, I like the Newsies ones too. Newsies was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you got someone super talented that can make the clothes like that, you definitely take advantage and look your best.
So. No doubt. So yeah, give us some highlights.
Yeah, sure. So I think the biggest thing that I always take from going to Disneyland, and by always going, I mean the last 2 times in December and now, if you can do one of the after-hour parties out in Disneyland, you absolutely should. Oh my goodness, Oogie Boogie Bash was fantastic. Just so many great character interactions and awesome pictures that we were able to get with people that they don't ever put out in the park. So that was a huge highlight.
Can I ask you a question about that really quick? So did you see like the De La Cruz, like the guy from Coco? Did you see him out there?
That looked awesome.
We did. Yeah.
That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen like filmed. I was ready to like buy a ticket right then and get out there. Like that looked so awesome.
It did look cool.
It's really cool. Some of those character interactions, it's a little different, right? Because it's like part of the trick or treat trail. So you go through, they hand you candy before you go see the person, and then it's people just walk by, you take pictures, you can take video, but there's no photo pass for those ones. Yeah. And then when you finish, with your walking by, taking your photos and everything, then you can move out, and then you go past some more candy stops on the way out. They had traditional meet and greets as well. So they had, they had Bruno for the first time. They had the Blue Fairy was out. Mulan is Ping. They had Hercules. They had Merlin. Some really, like I said, some really rare characters that they wouldn't normally do. They even had Mickey and Donald and Goofy as the Kingdom Hearts characters from that game from a few years ago. So that was. We didn't do a lot of, we did a few of those, but just great to see some more rare characters out there, and get an opportunity to do that. And then the, D23 in general, just absolutely phenomenal. Really, really enjoyed this. It's something that every time, it would happen. I told Scott this earlier today, like every time D23 would happen, I'd be like, I got to go to that next time. Next time I'm going to be there. And, finally pulled the trigger on it this time. And, got some really great panels. Definitely pack your patience and be ready to wait in some lines to get into some of the panels if you don't get a reservation for them. But for the most part, you should be able to get in to see a lot of stuff if you want to.
What was the thing you would say surprised you the most about like the D23, the expo itself? Because you obviously you kind of had a pretty good idea of what was going to happen because you've seen all the coverage in the past, but like being there, something maybe that was unexpected, maybe it was awesome. Like what was like something unexpected that you got to experience?
The last panel I went to was for the Disney character voice actors. And they brought a couple people out, and normally at a convention like that, you're going to get some surprises and things like that. But they finished the panel with Donny Osmond coming out, and he did, I'll make a man out of you live in front of everybody, which was completely unexpected. And, they also brought out the guy who did Aladdin's voice. And so just not those folks weren't listed under the panel guests, but getting to see that, and then just the amount of really, really great cosplay that people did. People spent spent hours upon hours on some of the stuff. The one lady had her dress was Dumbo. It was the ride.
I
Dumbo,
saw that. I saw that on social media. That was insane. It moved, didn't it? Like the whole the dress. I saw that. I was like, that is insane. Whoever made that, that'd have to be a full-time job for like 2 weeks.
I mean, absolutely. Just getting to see some of the costume work that people did was really cool. It really was. It was a great experience. I'm definitely going to try and go back again when it happens, and I'm guessing in 2 years. They didn't really give a date for the next one, but and the other thing that was kind of surprising was just how much new stuff that they were obviously at the parks panel. You get a lot of new things, but I was just kind of surprised how much Disneyland is really going to get. Obviously a little disappointed for World, but with no real concrete things other than the Tron date. But we were there in the room and we got to hear him talk about everything, and there was definitely a big group of us cheering for Run Disney coming back, because
heck yeah,
I'm ready for that.
That was out of nowhere, right? I mean, I didn't see that coming.
I wasn't expecting that. I don't know if anybody else was. Scott, I don't know if you were, but I was not.
I had some insider information on it. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, Scott knows, because the entire time we were out there in July, I'm like, God, because I fell in love with Disneyland. We were out there, man. I fell for it so hard. I love Disneyland Resort. And I'm like, how did I never get out here 10 years ago? And how did I miss all those races? I
you would have
race so bad.
But you would have hated the Disneyland half, and they would have kept the same day, because remember that excessive heat wave they were having over Labor Day weekend? That's when the Disneyland half always was. Like you would have died out there.
Yeah, still, I know, because it was cool when we were there. So I'm like, I can run in this. It's like 70.
It was not cool. I mean, it was 100 the first day that we were there. So nothing like being walking through the parks in 100-degree weather when you're not really expecting that. I mean, it's in Florida. I'm always like, it's going to be hot. I know it's going to be hot, and I know it's going to be humid, and I fully expect it, but was not ready for that.
So Mike, before you took Neil's call, though, you were asking about my thought on that. And so I know you don't know a whole lot about Avengers, but that was one of the race weekends. That was actually the last race weekend at Disneyland. And your medal would be like the Infinity Gauntlet, and you get a stone. And they only did like 3 of those. So like
I had a stone about 2 years ago, and I don't want any more stones.
Right.
Dude, that was not cool.
But it was cool. Like, if you've done all of them, you've gotten like your gauntlet medals with like 3 different Infinity Stones. And it's like they never finished that. So I wonder if Avengers will be one of the races they bring back so that we can finish our Infinity
really?
Gauntlets.
They left it like hanging. Like there's like a medal out there that's unfinished. Like the challenge is like to be
kind of. So I mean, you would get like the medal with like the gauntlet, but then like one year was like the Yellowstone, the next year was the blue one, and there's like 6 of them.
And
so there was only 3 races. So I want to see like if they'll finish the series out. But I don't know.
That's smart.
That's a whole nother show topic to to talk about what races will come back in Disneyland, because will they do the Star Wars? I don't know if they will, if they don't do it in World anymore, but we shall see.
Neil, what do you think? Because you do all the races. What do you think?
I know that they used to have the Tinkerbell race weekend. I would guess they probably bring something like that back, and hopefully the Avengers, since we can't really do an Avengers race weekend on the East Coast. My guess would be we'll get that back. I mean, they did that one as Pixar, but we got that for Springtime Surprise this year. So I don't know. I'm hoping that when they give it, when it comes back in 24, we get a full slate of 3 or 4 race weekends like they used to have. And like I know you said last week on the different shows how it's going to be just bananas trying to get in.
It's gonna be crazy
for those first race weekends. And I'm going to do everything I can to if I got to do a charity bib, whatever. It's funny because I kept saying, well, you know what, I'm just going to finish my 50 states 50 half marathon thing. I'll just finish in California and I'll go celebrate in Disneyland. Well, that's out the window now. Now that I know that those races are coming back, we're definitely, it's going to be sooner, and I'm going to have to figure out where I'm going to finish my half marathon challenge.
I can't
We
wait.
do that in Michigan. Michigan's a good place to finish that in October.
Yeah.
The Detroit half. But I think we're gonna cut one. I think we're gonna lose a world race. I think it's gonna be 3 and 3 because I think they want because they kind of eliminate like the Star Wars race.
With me. Yeah,
I think that's what they're gonna do. I think because you should have more. It's a money making machine, right? But
Yeah.
I think we're gonna lose the Springtime Surprise and World. We're gonna lose the Star Wars one and Land, and it's gonna be the Tinkerbell, Avengers, and the Disneyland half, which is always like Labor Day weekend. I think those are gonna be the 3. We shall see, though.
I'd be totally up for that. Totally fine.
I mean, they're gonna have to announce it kind of soonish. I mean, because you got to register. I mean, we registered like 6 months before these races, so we should know. I would say like March of 2023, maybe a little later. I don't know. We'll see.
Run Disney hasn't been in my pocketbook for like a month.
That's funny.
I'm getting on my mind. And then I hurt my knee. I'm like, oh, dude, this is a 1 year I signed up for every race weekend and blow out my knee right now. So I'm like, dude, this knee's got to come back. What is going on? I got to run. Of course. Well, hey, we got to run, Neil, but thanks for calling in. Are you at Wine and Dine?
I'll be at Wine and Dine. And then I was just going to throw it out there too, in case folks haven't seen it. We do have that page up in Marathon Group and the regular page about if folks have interest in the Mini Golf Open for Marathon weekend. So please make sure to fill that out. Looks like we might have a big group, so I want to try and get everything squared away with Disney so that we don't have any issues with large groups and stuff.
I got to do that myself. Yes, because last time we did that, it poured, so we didn't get to do it. So yeah, totally, I'm in. Let's putt. I have last time we did that. I had
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, Neil,
Thanks,
take care.
Mike, did you see that there's talks about for the half marathon or marathon weekend dressing as me, like rocking a polo?
Today, the lime green polos. I gotta get one of those.
That made me laugh.
The Nike one, dude. I'm getting the Nike.
Dude, they're so comfortable. I run in. I mean,
I know.
I'm telling you, like people tease me a little bit, but like the dry fit like polos like are more comfortable than a running shirt to me. Like I love them.
That was an awesome shirt. I'm getting it. That's a great costume. Okay, we got our last call of the day. Who is joining us from the 570?
Hey, Mike, it's Kevin. We emailed earlier today.
What's up, Kevin? Thanks for calling in, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah. How are you guys?
Hey, we're doing great. Say hey to ScottyG.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Scott. What's going on, man?
Not much. Mike's got the Honolulu blue and gray going on the live feed tonight for my Lions because my Lions finally got a victory today, so it's a good day.
Well, and my Lions got a victory over Auburn yesterday, and I was there for the
game.
It was great.
He's
all right. Nittany Lions. There we go. Penn State.
He actually traveled to the Plains down to Auburn, which is brave. I'm just saying, man. I don't know if I was thinking about going there next weekend, but the way Mizzou's playing, we're not making that trip. So because it's going to
be. That was a great atmosphere, though. Great atmosphere.
Oh yeah, I'm sure it was. That looked fun on TV. So what's going on?
Yeah. So I think we messaged a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to get when Scott was on. We are actually booked for February 11th to the 18th next in February, and I wanted to get Scott's take on being there over Super Bowl Sunday and Super Bowl Monday, and the thoughts. I'm a Broncos fan, so I don't have the high hopes that we're going to be there on that Sunday. So just curious your thoughts as far as the park, the crowds, and everything for that day, and then for the parade the next day. I think you were there a couple years ago, Scott, weren't you?
Because he's a Lions fan, so he's there he's always there to celebrate his team winning the Super Bowl, or at least being in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Just like, go ahead, Scott.
You ever seen that meme with like Simba, like telling Mufasa, like, we're lions? They're like, what is that out in the distance, Dad? It's the Super Bowl. We're lions. We'd never go there. But Kevin, that's interesting combo though. The Penn State Nittany Lions and the Broncos. All right, like I like it. But yeah, I have been there for the Super Bowl.
A John Elway fan in the '80s, so that's kind of where it came from.
Same,
that makes sense.
Yeah, we were between football teams. I was a huge Broncos fan back when they were John Elway and all those guys. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, big Elway fan in the '80s. I grew up near Penn State in Pennsylvania, so yeah.
Nice.
But go ahead,
Cool.
sorry.
Yeah, so I had been there for the Super Bowl. It was that weird year though. It was COVID, so it was like 2021 Super Bowl where the Bucks won it on their home field. And I will tell you though, like it was interesting too. So being in Florida, you think it'd be like a lot of Florida fans too. So maybe that like took out some of the locals, but I thought the parks were pretty slow. Now, mind you, all I did was really go to I just went to dinner. I went to Chefs de France that night. And I did watch the game a little bit on my phone before watching it back at the yacht club later that night. But it does take some crowds away, not as much as you'd think, because I think a lot of people there are just the vacation, and like we got great technology on our devices now. We're like me, like I'm at dinner with Liz, Emily, and Beth, and I'm watching the Bucks on my phone win the Super Bowl. But so I mean, the crowds will be a little bit lower, but I would still say you would expect something. Now, if you're going to ask where to watch the game, I have some tips there too. But for the Monday after, that was just a weird day because it was still COVID, so they didn't want people like large gatherings, right? We're still trying to social distance in the parks. So they didn't really like ever announce a parade, but like we knew like Gronkowski was like doing something. Like word got around that Gronk was in the Magic Kingdom, and no one knew if he was going to come down on a float like a cavalcade or what. Ended out he was just doing some promo shoot backstage, and it was just fun. I mean, we just hung around like in the hub, like waiting for like an hour for Gronk to come out, and then I finally gave up, and then he did never come out. But Mike, I don't know if you have any experience on this too, if other guests have done it, but I would say like, yeah, I'm trying to think where the Super Bowl is this year though. Is it on the East Coast? Because that kind of depends, because sometimes they go to Disneyland the next day.
So
that's a good question. Yeah, because last year I think it was out in California and the Rams won it and they went to Disneyland, I think. Yeah.
So it kind of depends on where the Super Bowl is. I think it might be in Phoenix. I don't know. If that's the case, then it's going to go to Disneyland again. So it just kind of depends on geographically where it is. If it's going to be like, and I'm trying to think of their destinations. If it's like in Miami, obviously they'll go to Walt Disney World, but like, because they'll often play it in California. Phoenix is one they'll play it in. Gosh, I'm kind of losing.
Arizona.
It is Arizona. Yeah. So the parade is not going to come the next day. Then it's going to go to Disneyland.
Okay. All right. That's really good to know. That helps make my park reservation.
Yeah, it makes your park pass because you would have booked the Magic Kingdom for sure to see the parade.
Absolutely. Yeah. Now I know the end of the week, like we're off. Our girls are off for President's Weekend. At the end of the week, they're off Thursday, Friday. So I know it'll get busier then. So I wanted to kind of get the better reservations for earlier in the week because I know it's going to get really busy at the end of the week. And then
highly recommend that. Yes, I've been there. I've been in that same situation with their school time off. Like I try to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
And President's Week is kind of crazy.
Yeah, that and Martin Luther King weekend are crazy busy.
Yeah. So that's why I like what you're doing there, Kevin. Starting on the front end during the Super Bowl weekend, which I think will take out some crowds for sure. So definitely go heavy on your park days. And then if you're a resort guy like me, just kind of hang out at the resort those last couple of days. Obviously, you can still do the parks, but just pack your patience a little bit.
Yeah, and we're staying at Poly, so we can have some pool days. If we feel the Magic Kingdom is crazy and we're over there, we can pop back to the resort or head on over to Epcot or something. So that's probably what we'll do.
So what's your plan? Do you have a park day planned for the Super Bowl yet, or not?
Probably we would stay close to the Magic Kingdom, and if the kids are tired, hey, let's go back to the hotel and watch the game that night, and maybe catch the second half or something. And if not, no big deal. But yeah, I'll probably head to the Magic Kingdom that day on Super Bowl Sunday, and then just kind of go from there.
Yeah,
Like I said, if my
that.
Broncos aren't in it, then I'm okay. Maybe kind of skipping it or just kind of listening in or something.
If the Broncos are in it, man, just get to like Tambu Lounge early, right? Because like I'm trying to think of like public places where you can watch the game. You can watch it at Tambu, or if you want to, if you want to take a chance to go to Disney Springs, I mean, Splitsville will probably be hopping, but like that would be a really cool spot to watch it.
That would be fun.
But there's always the room. Like honestly, like I joked about this with Mike. Like when my Spartans are like in a big game, like I mean I love like the social environment, but like sometimes, man, I am so like locked in. Like I don't want the guy next to me to irritate me and like say something. So sometimes I like to just watch it in my room too.
Yeah. So real quick. Last night we were texting with Scott during the Michigan State game, and all of a sudden he quit responding. Which I get it because I did the same thing during Mizzou games. I was like, okay, we're done.
And then Wade said something about like that was a sweet play, and then like 2 plays later, Michigan State gave it like a 70-yard touchdown. I'm like, no, I'm done with you guys.
I get it.
We were listening to it on the ride from Auburn back to Atlanta, and the whole way we were listening to the game on the radio on Sirius, and
that's hilarious.
It was just back and forth, like, oh man,
that was a tough one.
It was. No, I mean, hey, all faith in Russell Wilson, right? Let's see if it happens.
I'm putting my faith in him, but we'll see. Yeah. Well,
you squeezed by today, though. It looks like I didn't see the end, but I did look up the scores during the live show and saw they got the W. So there you go. You're 1-1 now.
Denver did, yeah, they won tonight. Yeah,
there you go. Well, hey, we appreciate you calling in tonight, and good luck to the Broncos the rest of the way. You have a good trip either way. So you'll be at Walt Disney World.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think we have a trip report from our February trip of 18 people coming up at the end of November. So I'll speak to you soon.
Yes.
Coming
awesome. Man, that'll be here before you know it. We'll have a lot to talk about.
Let's say Nittany, and at the end of November, we got Nittany Lions and Spartans. That's how we end the season every year. So like that should be fun.
That's right.
Is it in Lansing
Absolutely,
or is it
we'll chat a little bit more.
It's going to be in Happy Valley this year. Last year it was crazy. It was like a big snowstorm here in East Lansing. Spartans took care of business, but so it'll be in Happy Valley, which is a tough place to play. So
that is the one thing I love about Big Ten is when it snows. Like I'll watch a Big Ten game when it snows. That's the best. Like that Michigan game last year where it was all snowy. That was awesome. I don't even like Michigan. But
there's nothing like it. That's right.
All right. And that's the thing is like once this college, I know we're getting off the rails here, but once that college football thing expands and they start having home games, you take an Alabama up to a place like, Michigan or somewhere, Lansing, when it's snowing in like December, dude, all bets are off on that because SEC.
That's going to be sweet, man.
SEC teams like 75 and sunny. I'm just saying.
Well, pretty soon Big Ten teams are going to be having to do that too. Though.
That's true.
The regular season.
Everywhere. Yeah, exactly. It's like a Dr. Pepper commercial.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's right.
Thanks for calling in, buddy. I appreciate it. You have an awesome week.
Yeah, have a good one, Kevin.
Yeah, you guys too.
All right, take care, Kevin. See you later.
Thanks so much.
All right,
bye-bye.
All right, well, hey, real quick, what was your biggest announcement? Because we got to duck out here. We went long, but this is great calls tonight.
Well, my biggest announcement. From
where you think got you the most excited?
Honestly, like the Avengers Campus. Avengers Campus at Disneyland. I was telling someone this the other day. Like, feels like Galaxy's Edge a little bit. Like how they built a great land. They threw in an attraction, kind of like the Smuggler's Run versus like the Web Slingers, which is an okay attraction, not like an e-ticket. And then later on, they built the e-ticket like Rise, and I feel like that's what's going to happen with Avengers Campus at Disneyland, which makes me really excited about that. I think it's a really cool land. I know you didn't spend much time there, but it is really neat, and I'm excited to see it get expanded.
That is cool. I did like the Spider-Man show where he flew because I swore that was a real person.
And the reason that's my favorite, or that and tied with the Run Disney, is just because the Walt Disney World news just felt kind of flat for me, Mike. Like just a little disappointed.
We'll continue that next week because I have a couple things I wanted to ask you about. But we just didn't get to it today. But
yeah, sounds good, man.
Remind me, that'll give us something to talk about next week. But hey, we got to talk about Disney Quest. I can't believe we never went to Disney Quest. I still can't believe that.
If I could get the DeLorean, I would go back to Disney Quest and do some other things too.
Oh man, we'd have a good time in Disney Quest. We'd be playing video games, Donkey Kong contests, a little Frogger. Oh, it'd be a good time,
man.
All right, time to wrap up. So we got to get out of here, but thanks for hanging out with us. And we'll do this again next Sunday night, of course, 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central. You can tune in on YouTube or Facebook. We have the video going, the stream, the live chat. It's always so much fun because We have great comments going on, and we get to take your calls. So join us again next Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. Facebook and YouTube will be waiting for you. And don't forget, our show is always brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. So when it comes time to plan your next Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, or Adventures by Disney trip, work with the great agents over at the Magic for Less. Check them out today over at themagicforless.com. Please also use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online. That one extra click really does help us out. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And a sincere thank you to the patrons of the podcast. You make all these shows possible. You allow us to put out 4 to 5 shows a week. It's fun, and we couldn't do it without you. And you get that bonus show also called Mike in the Midwest every week. We tell stories that Charlie can relate to when she grew up in Illinois, maybe. And we'd love to have you. So come on over, patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Give Scott a follow on the social media. He's at Epscott, EPSCOT. I'm at Be Our Guest Mike. Would love to talk to you this week on the socials, Instagram and Twitter. And of course, subscribe to the show on Facebook and YouTube so you know every time we go live, and you can join us and be a part of the show and have some fun with us. All right, so we're going to get out of here. We'll have the shows this week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Stand by for that. So for Scott, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Sunday night or Thursday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon.
Hey, Brooke, if you're still in the chat, I just want to give you a shout out on your longest run ever, 8 miles.
I know.
That's a seriously good distance, man. I felt like dead after I did 8 miles, and I would still feel dead today doing this. So kudos to you. That's an awesome distance.
8 miles is a long way. Because I'm walking 8 miles every morning on the treadmill, dude, and that takes forever. Oh my God. It takes exactly 2 hours and 26 minutes, I think, is so bad. And it hurts the whole way, but I'm a bullheaded. I got to fill my circle.
You should take it tomorrow off. You should take tomorrow off.
No, I keep the streak going.
Wait till you get the MRI news.
The doctor told me I probably shouldn't be doing that, but I have, yeah. So I went on and I think my meniscus is intact. So I think I'm okay. It still hurts like hell, but we'll see what's going on.
Okay.
He's supposed to call me tomorrow, so we'll see.
All right, let me know.
All right, I will. All right,
you got the girls for tomorrow, like Pam and Ricky.
I think so. I'm going to send a text out. I'm behind on that, but yeah,
sounds good.
Text, so you'll be in the group. You'll be in the loop.
All right.
I'll see you.
Have a good week, everyone. Bye.
We went long. Bye.